Hello, welcome to the Aerospike Summit session on monitoring. My name is Samantha Garrett, and I have been with Aerospike for close to a year. Part of the client services team and focus primarily on working with our customers on operations. All right, again, apologies for the technical difficulties. So today I'm going to give an overview of Aerospike's monitoring capabilities and then move into a demo of our new monitoring stack using the open source tools Prometheus and Grafana. Today Aerospike integrates with a number of monitoring solutions, and we also provide the Aerospike management console, which I'll talk about a bit more later. So most of our customers integrate with their own monitoring stack in production, with Prometheus and Grafana being the most popular tools that we see used. So as part of the launch of the Aerospike Cloud line of products and services, we are releasing a new official monitoring stack. So let's dive in and look at how it works. So there are four main components to how the Aerospike monitoring architecture works. Aerospike server exposes a few hundred metrics per node through info commands. These metrics are categorized as either cumulative, such as total client write errors over time, instantaneous, such as the amount of memory currently being used or whether a namespace has hit stop writes mode, or a moving average over time, such as a storage compression ratio. So a monitoring agent can then grab these metrics at regular intervals. Typically, it's going to be a few seconds. And then they will convert these metrics into whatever format the target system needs. So the agent then sends these over to a time series database where they are persisted for a period of time, usually something like 30 to 90 days, for looking at aggregates and trends over time. So then sitting on top of the time series database will be a visualization tool for monitoring graphs and reports and alerts. So some tools will actually provide all three of these last components, including the Aerospike management console. But some of the biggest kind of limitations that we've heard from customers using this tool are that the dashboards can't really be customized. They can be integrated with other sources of data or queried for ad hoc reports. So the data retention period for historical metrics is limited. And the tool also provides some management capabilities that customers typically expect to be owned by their automation tool chain in their production environments. Slide. So AMC does provide customers value in enabling them to use and monitor their clusters without having to put in the legwork to learn how to use all the Aerospike metrics or handcraft dashboards in their visualization tool. So we are replacing this tool with some pre-configured dashboards and alerts using the new Aerospike Prometheus exporter, Prometheus as the time series database holding aggregated metrics, Grafana as the visualization tool that can layer in additional data sources in custom dashboards, and finally Alert Manager as the notification tool that can be integrated with things like PagerDuty, Opsgenie, Slack, and email. So the Aerospike monitoring stack is available in multiple deployment models. A turnkey stack can be spun up in minutes using Docker or Helm if you are on Kubernetes. Alternatively, the Aerospike Prometheus exporter can be deployed as a standalone component and integrated with an existing monitoring stack. So before I turn over to a recorded demo that we have of the new monitoring stack, I just wanted to quickly point out several monitoring resources that are available. So the monitoring section of our documentation has an overview of the tools and solutions that we integrate with. The metrics reference page has a full list of available metrics and kind of everything that you need to know about them. The key metrics page has a list of mission critical metrics that every customer should be monitoring and alerting on. And I will note that we have some updates coming out to both of these pages that will kind of make it a little bit easier for you to find exactly what we recommend alerting and monitoring on for these. In Aerospike Academy, we also have an on-demand course, the Server Operations Part 2, that teaches you all about how Aerospike transactions work, how to measure latency, and how to query metrics. And then finally, Aerospike Client Services can also work with you to kind of provide guidance on installing the stack and customizing the Grafana dashboards. And all of these links are available in the presentation and as URLs in this session. And at this point, we will switch over to the recorded demo. So I'll start playing that momentarily.
So this is a demo of the new Aerospike monitoring stack using Prometheus and Grafana. Before we get into the Grafana dashboards, I wanted to quickly show you what the metrics look like coming back from the Aerospike Prometheus exporter. So this here is the output of the HTTP page that Prometheus scrapes with ASInfo metrics converted into the format that Prometheus expects to store. By default, you'll get all of the available metrics coming back from Aerospike server, but there are configuration options in the exporter that will allow you to whitelist or blacklist specific groups if you want to save on storage space or something. You can also configure security options such as TLS or basic auth for access to this page, as well as the Aerospike user that has permissions to call ASInfo for the metrics. And you can also configure tags to send along indicating the environment or anything else that you may want to filter on in a dashboard. So moving over to Grafana now. The pre-configured dashboards that we provide are very similar to the visuals that you may have seen in AMC. They include all the key stats, everything that we know is a best practice for monitoring and alerting on in an Aerospike cluster, as well as critical things that would help Aerospike support be able to assist you when troubleshooting issues. So the default dashboards that we provide are cluster overview, a node overview, namespace view, a latency view. There's a dashboard for alerts, and we also will have a dashboard for XDR, which I'll not be showing in this demo as it's brand new, kind of built around the new Aerospike Database 5. So on every dashboard, you'll have filters available for kind of narrowing down the whole dashboard to focus on a specific node or namespace or whatever filters are available. So for example, if I wanted to drill into a specific node here, I can filter down all of the graphs to just that node. Alternatively, I can filter down a specific graph at a time by clicking on one of the items in the table next to the graph. This will typically be a node and sometimes a node in a namespace that you'll see in this list. You can also kind of hover over the graphs if you want to get kind of the instantaneous data at a specific point in time. You can also configure exactly how much time is shown on the graphs as well. By default, we're showing an hour, but there's a ton of different options for you to choose from, as well as the refresh rate of the dashboards as well. So the cluster overview is kind of designed to give you a quick view into your overall cluster health. At the top, you'll see the cluster name, the current version, the cluster size. The number you see here is lower than expected. You should see an alert notifying you that one or more nodes is down. Stop writes will show the current count of namespaces across the cluster that are in stop writes mode. If it's showing anything other than 0, this would indicate a critical failure point, such as your disk utilization getting too high for a namespace. The migrations remaining will show the total count of active migrations between nodes, which would occur if an event happened that triggered the cluster to self-heal. This could be due to a node going down, or maybe because of proactive maintenance events where you've manually taken the node out of service. The dashboard will also give you a cluster-wide view into the current client activity, as well as resource utilization. If you see any warning signs here, you would want to head over to the node or the namespace dashboards for further analysis. But before we leave this dashboard, let's see some of this in action. So kind of what I'm showing here is a 4-node cluster running on AWS. I have a couple of Aerospike clients running different workloads on 2 different namespaces. So I'm going to go over and stop Aerospike on one of these servers. And momentarily, you should see an alert pop up and fill migrations. Here we go. So the fill migrations have started to redistribute the master and replica objects to the other nodes in the cluster that are currently healthy. So also you see this, we have one alert active now. And if we click on this, it'll navigate us over to the alerts dashboard. And this will show me exactly which instance is down. Can also quickly show you the kind of the preset alerts that we have available or active in the Prometheus dashboard. These are fully configurable. You can add to these, you can modify these, but they're very kind of simple rules that you can set up and manage once you have this up and running. So heading over to the node overview dashboard, we can see what's going on with that node that just went down. So you can see an alert for this node is also showing up here. For now, let me go ahead and restart the server. And we should see these things turn green again pretty soon. So for each node in the cluster, you'll see several stats. The current uptime stats will show if the node and the monitoring agent are alive. You'll see any active alerts on the node and the current number of client connections, some object counts, and the current storage and memory utilization. The latency statistics will break down the average and current transactions on that node by reads, writes, UDFs, queries, and proxy transactions. And you can also see the number of incoming versus outgoing migrations per node. You can see here, since we took this node back online, there's a number of incoming migrations as the other nodes redistribute data back onto this node now that it's healthy again. You can also see the current breakdown of client transactions versus node-to-node transactions. This would be the fabric and heartbeat connections, the nodes communicating with each other. And you can also see how objects are distributed on a given node between master, replica, and tombstone. And this is also broken down for each object type by namespace. For a more granular breakdown of the object distribution, let's look at the namespace view dashboard. So over here, you'll find throughput graphs broken down by the type of request. So reads, writes, scans, etc. You will also see the current object counts by type. Again, so masters, replicas, tombstones, evicted and expired objects. And you'll also see the number of migrations occurring per namespace. You can see that the spikes in each of these graphs kind of corresponds to the time when I've stopped and restarted Aerospike server. You can also see exactly how resources are being utilized over time per namespace, such as the primary and secondary index usage, and then memory and disk utilization. Towards the bottom, we have a kind of a roll-up section per namespace that'll give you the more immediate numbers for resource utilization, migrations, and other kind of critical info that you would want to keep an eye on and have handy at a quick glance. The latency view. So this dashboard is a little bit different from the others that I've shown. The rest of the dashboards all are based on Aerospike metrics that come back in simple key value pairs, whereas the latency dashboard is based on histograms. So these are aggregates taken from regular time slices, and they show the percentage of transactions that are completed in a certain amount of time. This is measured at the Aerospike server. You can see here that with the workload that I have running against this cluster, almost all the transactions are completing in under 1 millisecond. You can also see we have broken down by reads and writes, anything that's taking longer than 1 millisecond, 8 milliseconds, or 64 milliseconds. So this data is meant to help you be able to quickly evaluate SLA compliance, and spot any kind of major differences in latency across the nodes that might be worth looking into and might indicate some other sort of issue on a node. And finally, so everything else that I've shown so far is based kind of entirely on Aerospike server metrics and other data that we get back from Aerospike. But what if you wanted to look at your system statistics compared to these Aerospike metrics while you're troubleshooting some issue? On this cluster, I have also installed the Prometheus node exporter, which exposes all of the host metrics that you might want to overlay with Aerospike metrics. This is a very simple example here, but I have a custom dashboard that shows Aerospike client transactions per second, along with just general network traffic. So if you were investigating the cause of a spike of Aerospike timeouts, for example, you might want to see if there was a spike in other traffic to the instance at that time. Adding a new data point or new graph on the dashboard is fairly simple. I can kind of show you one of these in edit mode. All of the metrics are available here. You can start to adding a new query. Anything that's coming from Aerospike will be, if I could spell, will be prefixed with Aerospike, and you'll get the full list of available metrics that you can build a query on. Similarly, if you wanted to pull in some other network statistics, you can simply start typing ahead, and it'll pull up the available metrics from the node exporter, or obviously any other data sources that you have available in here. For each graph, you can kind of customize the visualization, exactly how the data is displayed, exactly what data is shown next to the graph. All of this is fully within your control. So one of the great things that we love about Grafana is that it allows you to combine all these different data sources and gives you kind of full control to slice and dice the data however you need. This flexibility is one of the main reasons why we think you'll be very happy with our new monitoring stack, using very popular tools that are widely adopted and fairly easy to use, and we can't wait to get customers using it very soon.
All right, so that concludes the demo of our new monitoring stack. We have a few questions that have come in during the presentation. I'll try to answer those. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. So the first question is, why rely on a sidecar exporter that needs to be separately updated instead of exposing a port directly on Aerospike to expose the native metrics? So this would among other things, ensure that the version of the exporter you're running is fully compatible with the server version. So I don't have full, insight into the design decisions that were made as part of this. We'll definitely want to follow up on that internally. But I suspect that it's because while we are using Prometheus as our official monitoring tool, we do still support a number of other tools. So building kind of the Prometheus exporter directly into the database wouldn't have provided the same flexibility. It wouldn't be backwards compatible with some of the things that a lot of our other customers are currently using. However, we do intend to support and maintain the exporter along with the new Aerospike server version, so that metric names and new or removed metrics will always be in sync. Questions. So another question was, how can I see the user or application connected to the server? So I think that would not be found explicitly in the metrics. There's a separate configuration for Aerospike server that will allow you to turn on kind of an audit log of data operations and other types of operations, and then that can be shipped elsewhere. So you could make it available in your monitoring tool, but it wouldn't be coming out of the box with the metrics the same way that you'd be getting these metrics. Trying to read through these questions. Can we track XR? I'm going to assume this is XDR metrics as well through these exporters. So yes, so the metrics that are available, it's depending on what features you're using. So if you have XDR enabled, you will be able to access all those metrics through this tool. We've built out new dashboards for the brand new version of XDR that you've probably been hearing about in other sessions this morning. So we'll have kind of canned dashboards available for XDR in Grafana, and then for customers on older versions of XDR, we can help build out some dashboards for those as well, maybe as part of a client services engagement. Let's see what other questions. So one question is, where can I download the Grafana dashboards? So these are all available in GitHub. I believe we are going GA on the new monitoring stack any day now. So this has been in beta for the last month or so. I'm working with some customers on getting feedback on the new tool. And we are just wrapping up some final changes and getting all of our, documentation published and whatnot. So they are currently available right now in GitHub. You should search for Aerospike monitoring. You should be able to find it that way. But we'll be, putting these up on our documentation sites once they are fully ready to go and generally available to all customers. Let's see. Yeah, so there was a question, why is the Prometheus exporter not mentioned on our main kind of monitoring overview page? So that's, as I just explained, this has been in beta. We're not fully launched with it yet. So this is kind of a preview that you are getting right now. But like I said, it'll be available and all of our docs will be updated very soon. Another question is monitoring available in the community edition? We have a license, but for some experiments wanted to use CE. So monitoring itself, is available in CE. You'd still have access to all those metrics. However, this Prometheus exporter is designed specifically for use with Aerospike Enterprise, but there are some other, there's an existing community-built Prometheus exporter that is out there called ASPROM that's designed for use with the community edition, so you could use that instead. Let me see, I'm having trouble reading through all these questions. Got lots of questions for me. I think that's all of the questions that I can see in this list now. One other thing we just wanted to touch on was the Aerospike management console. So that will be moving to kind of an open source model. So we'll still you can still use it if you're already on it. However, we will be kind of officially moving all of our support into the new Prometheus and Grafana monitoring stack. So we'd love to have customers who are already using them, contribute to both the Aerospike management console as well as some of the other exporter tools that we have out there. All right, any final questions? All right, I don't see any further questions coming in. So I guess with that, we will wrap up this session. And hopefully we'll hear from a lot of you guys soon as you start using this tool. We'd love to get feedback from you. Thank you.